Hello and welcome to another Baggie Brothers video. We're talking best 11s today, where we speak to ex-players and current content creators about their favourite West Brom players. And today we are joined by Baden, aka WBA Canada. Baden, how's things?
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad to be here with you guys today.
Happy to have you on. You're our first international West Brom guest.
Yeah. Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored.
How have you been finding the season so far, dare I ask?
It's been frustrating. I've definitely enjoyed it a lot more the last couple of weeks. Big Sam brought his players in, and I thought that a lot of them have made quite the difference. And it might make it a little more frustrating because now you wonder, if we had started this way, would we have been able to survive?
Yeah. Yeah, and especially these last couple of games. Don't know how you feel, lads, but we're getting slightly closer and closer to possibly pulling off a Great Escape Part 2. And
yeah,
they're pulling on our heartstrings again, aren't they? Giving us that little bit of hope. And now that we're going to do it, so let's hope we can. But yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Still a long old time to go, isn't there? So we've got 11 games left. Yeah. So let's see how we do.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All we can do is cheer for them, no matter what.
So what formation did you end up going for then?
So I've gone with, it's sort of a weird one. I've got it's sort of a 5 in the back, but it's more wing backs than it is the 5. Yeah. And then 3 center midfielders and then 2 strikers.
Okay. Nice straightforward 5-3-2.
It's a bit odd. But fit the players I wanted to fit in. That's what I had to do.
Cool. Shall we get into? So who have you gone for? We'll start with keeper, obviously.
Who's your goalkeeper? This was the easiest pick, and I don't know if you can see behind me, but I've got some of my favorite shirts behind me. I went with Ben Foster.
Solid choice.
It's got to be done.
I'll start with some of the things. He was a very commanding keeper. Great coming out of his box to deal with situations. Great on corners, being able to get to the ball when it was near him. A great leader. He really was able to guide his defense and tell them what he needed them to do. And that's exactly what you need from a keeper. He had a couple years with us. We had a couple years where we were in 10th place, which was the best I've seen us play. So he was a part of both of the 2 teams in the our run in the Premier League that finished 10th. And game-wise, and I'm sure someone else has mentioned this game, but the game against Liverpool, and he made a fantastic save against Gerrard. It was one of those games because that's the one and only goalkeeper shirt I ever bought from West Brom, and it's from that year as well. So I think the game was in February or around that time, maybe March, and I got the shirt for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I was actually wearing that shirt when we watched that game. So it's always something as a special memory for that particular game and that particular era.
Nice. Okay. I remember that particular game. It was while I was at uni, and I went to a house party with a few friends, and we were watching that game before, and it was me, the only West Brom fan pretty much in the whole town that I went to university in, and a room full of Liverpool fans. And I was just sat trying to be like quiet and be like, all right, I know there's going to be banter, but fine, I'll just be quiet. And then obviously he pulls off the save, and I'm just sat there looking around like, that was pretty good. Yeah. And then we get the goal and we win, and I'm just like the smuggest man in the room.
Yeah. I've definitely felt stuff like that before, because whenever you go anywhere in Canada, you don't find West Brom fans.
No.
You might find someone who's a Liverpool fan, a Manchester United fan, a City fan. Having said that, they might not be actual fans, but fan. But you'll never find West Brom fans. And there's been a couple times when we would go to pubs and stuff when we would travel, because we wouldn't want to miss the game. And we'd be sitting there, and there'd be people like, well, why on earth do you cheer for them? It's just, they just don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
No. Who are your centre backs then? Let's go through them 3 centre backs you've chosen.
So my first centre back, I went with Jonny Evans. I just thought he was solid. If you weren't thinking about longevity of how long he played for the club, he might be the best center back we've had for a while. Now, the other two obviously have played a lot longer, and they were also fantastic for the club. But he was just a very solid center back. He made 89 appearances, which he almost hit that 100 mark. And he was a big part of that Pulis team who we finished 10th. And it really shows, because that's the kind of team where you're playing a lot of defensive style. So the ball's coming at you all the time. And I think that really shows the quality of a good center back if they're constantly under pressure to be able to play well and also finish that high in the league.
Yeah, definitely. He was always, I don't know about how you feel about him, Ads. Obviously, we've heard his name a couple of times, but I always thought he was just one of the most calm players on the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
You could tell he's played at a much higher standard, and he learnt off two greats, didn't he, in Vidic and Ferdinand. I mean, there's not two better centre backs probably in the Premier League apart from maybe Terry and a couple of others. But apart from them two, those two were unbelievable. And to learn your trade off two of the best, yeah, you're gonna pick up everything that you need to learn, don't you? And we saw that at the Hawthorns. And like I said in a past video, like when someone else had him in, we were just so grateful to have him, I think, and for the price we got him at. And yeah, what a signing.
Well, you've given me a perfect segue to my next center back, because my next center back was better than JT. He did over 200 appearances for the club. But the funny thing with MacAulay for me is I remember a lot of his big goals that he scored from headers and from corners, all kinds of different stuff. I remember obviously the Chelsea game. He scored one against Fulham in stoppage time. And he was the one who scored in the 80th minute for that Liverpool game when Ben Foster had that save that I mentioned before. It's just, he was great defensively and always seemed to pop up when you needed him most. And he was on both of those teams as well that finished in 10th place, which at the time, especially that Pulis team, I thought we could have been finished a lot better. That team looked really good for a period of that season.
Yeah,
there
no,
were a couple
100%.
of seasons, I think, when we were with, especially under Pulis, I thought we might do all right this season and do well, and then obviously things started drifting off. But that's what
everyone
fans like.
I think everyone's had MacAulay in their team so far that we've had on.
Yeah.
So
he was definitely a weird one, because he came in and he came in. I think he was on a free from Ipswich, and you sort of think when you see those kind of transfers, what if we brought in? We've seen a couple of those with West Brom, that you just look at the player and look at where they've come from and think, oh, have we just brought in someone just to be a body in the team? But he certainly showed what he was and had a fantastic run with us.
Yeah, definitely. And who's gone in third in your three centre backs?
I've gone with Jonas Olsen. It's difficult for me because there's going to be a fair few overlapping players, because a lot of it's from that great run in the last couple of years. But I mean, he was another one of those brick wall type defenders, and he scored. He had a couple big headers himself. He scored against Wolves in the 5-1 game. But the weirdest thing, one of my most distinct memories of Jonas Olsen will always be when we played at Old Trafford, and Chris Brunt had a free kick, and it flew into the top corner. So the original thought was, oh, he's just had a brilliant free kick, but it happened to just come off Olsen's back and into the top corner. And I always remember just how shocked he looked that happened to go in. That was just one of my distinct memories of that. But he was a fantastic defender himself.
Yeah, an absolute leader on the field, wasn't he? So
yeah. Spent a bit of time at captain as well.
Yeah, no.
There was always this thing with him where you could see him like this switch in his head just go from being like, "Hi, I'm Jonas Olsen and I'm a nice guy," to right, I'm in a game now.
Yeah.
If anybody tries to get past me, I'm gonna fuck them up.
Yeah, exactly.
His attitude.
He did have that rugby player mentality, didn't he? That like something would slip and that would be it. That would be it. Game mode.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Go on then. Let's have a look at your wing backs. Do you want to do the right wing back first? Let's see who put.
We'll start with the right wing back. And I will say that these are probably the most problematic positions for my team, but these were players I wanted to get in. I'm going to start with Craig Dawson. Not necessarily who I would pick necessarily for a wing back, but I wanted to get him in my team. He's another one like MacAulay who seemed to score a lot of big headers. And he had 2 seasons with 4 goals, which for a defender is pretty good for the Premier League. Obviously, he was just one of those players who played a lot of games for us. He had a couple seasons where he had one where he played all 38 games, and then he had the next season he played 37 games. So it was a very durable player.
Yeah.
And it sort of petered out at the end for him, but I thought generally he always was one I'd like to see. And you were scared of when he would come up for a corner because he would really throw himself at the ball no matter what. And he still does for West Ham. We could use him now.
No, he was a great aerial threat, especially in the box, like you say. And he was very versatile as well. He could play centre back or right back, and probably even left back. He could do a job there.
Yeah.
Very versatile, which is exactly what we needed because we didn't have a very big squad, did we? So yeah, great player to add in.
It was either going to be him or Alan Nyom, and you picked the better one.
To be honest, the fullbacks were a bit problematic for me because we spent a while with Ridgewell and Jones.
Yeah.
Which no disrespect to either of those 2 guys, but neither of them were ever distinct, like fantastic, like the best of the right back, left back. So it was really left it open to interpretation for that position.
Who have you gone for at left back then, or left wing?
So at left wing back, it's going to be the one and only Chris Brunt. This was another one. These are the 2 positions that are probably the most weird positioning wise because he'd probably be more of a left midfielder, but I wanted to put him there. I mean, what can you say about Chris Brunt? He was a club captain, spent 13 years at the club, almost 400 appearances.
Yeah.
And he scored absolute bangers as well in his day.
Yeah.
The one against Chelsea when he was almost at the corner flag, scored a couple beauty free kicks. A good one against Villa, I remember.
Yeah.
The Everton free kick stands out for me.
Yeah,
Everton
stands out for me.
The thing that I'm going to remember most about Chris Brunt, though, a couple years ago, I think it was 2015, the club played 2 friendly games in the United States. So me and my family went 22 hours to go watch them.
Wow.
Whoa. That is an away day and a half.
The lucky thing was we went for 2 weeks and there was 2 games. So we went to the one game and then we drove back and went to the other game. But so they did an open practice session. But my mom's Twitter handle is WBA OK.
Okay.
So when the teams who were playing them, which were the league below MLS teams, were playing them.
When they would NSAL?
Yeah. When they would promote the stuff that like open practices or anything that they're doing, they would tag my mom because they thought she was a part of the club.
Brilliant.
That's great. That's pretty good.
So on the very first day they were there, they did an open practice. And we got extra early so we could be there when they got there. And I would say there was about maybe 10 or 15 people there. Like there wasn't an awful lot. And the bus pulls up and it was one of those like absolutely amazing memories I have. And you see Tony Pulis sitting in the front seat. And it's just crazy. They got off the bus. They did a whole team picture and I was in it.
Nice one.
I should show you guys that at another day. But anyways, when Chris Brunt got off the bus, I was like a fangirl because he's one of those guys. I've grown up watching him. Some of my first memories of watching the club were him scoring 2 penalties against Liverpool. like that was 2010. So seeing him was it was crazy. It was a dream come true, and he was really, really gracious about it, and just a fantastic guy. He signed many, many, many Match Attack soccer cards because that was the thing back in the day. And he took pictures, and he actually gave me 2 shirts.
Oh wow, nice one.
Wow, is that
The one I have behind me? I don't know if you saw it.
I was just saying, I can see the 11.
That's his game-worn shirt from that tournament. So it's always a cherished memory for me to have had that great experience with Chris Brunt. And that's part of the reason he's someone who I'll always be, no matter what, he'll always be one of my favorites. And at the moment, he is my favorite all time.
What a legend.
I mean, you put up a very strong argument for him being in the team. Why haven't we ever been given a kit?
Don't know, mate.
I think you guys need to make a call or something.
We've never asked for one, but
No.
I was a cute little kid back in the day, though.
Yeah, they're not going to give one to us.
No.
I think that was when I was about 10.
Yeah.
I'd probably have a restraining order put on me if I approached one of them in this day and age. So,
shall I start in the middle?
yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Youssef Malumbu.
Wicked player.
He was he always put 100% in. He was always one of those players who you saw him trying, always got stuck in, got into challenges, got a couple red cards in the day, but that doesn't matter now.
That's part of the job description. When you're in that position, you're going to pick up a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. He that's another memory for me. The only time I got to go to England to watch the team, they were on a wicked away run. They were doing about 5 or 6 away games in a row the whole time we were there. So I never got to go to the Hawthorns, but we went and saw them at Norwich, which again, was a couple hours out of the way. But you know, as I've said, they're my club. I'm gonna go.
That's nothing in comparison to the journey you made from Canada to America. That's basic.
No, definitely. Yeah. So my memory this is one of my most distinct West Brom memories live, was singing "He Comes from Africa, He's Better Than Kaka, Malumbu." And that always stuck with me as it was just such a fantastic memory. We saw them win 1-0. It was a great game. Great atmosphere. He almost had another thing with him. He almost got 200 appearances with the club. He was a crucial part of the 5-5 game against Manchester United, which is something I'm going to touch on again a little bit later. And yeah, he was just a fantastic player and obviously a fan favorite.
Yeah, 100%. Who's next to him then?
Jimmy Morrison. He's another one. He's right up there with Brunty for me. He's just a bit below him in terms of status. He had 309 appearances for the club, and he scored 29 goals in the Premier League, which is pretty good from his position. And a couple bangers on his day as well. Against Manchester United, that volley. That was when I was looking through some of the highlights that to figure out who I was going to put in my midfield. I was just, that was just a gorgeous goal. The goal I remember most was the one against West Ham in the FA Cup. It was from distance. It was in the pinstripe kit, and that was another cracker as well. And he was a very clever player, but he was one who was just fantastic, good with the ball at his feet, good at, obviously his long shots were fantastic, and he could whip in a decent ball on his day as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I've gone with Zoltan Gera, and I've just got to say the cartwheel, and then
does that get him in alone, does it?
That's just the celebrate. You've got to have someone with a good celebration in your team.
Yeah, he was probably one of our best celebrations in the team. He might take the cake for my best 11. And another one, he just scored cracking goals. The one I'm going to remember the most, because I remember on the opening game of one of the Premier League seasons we played Liverpool, and it's one of those games where when you play Liverpool, it's a big game because they're a big club. And not too early on, we get a corner. It's headed away right onto his chest, and he did a volley. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That's the one when I think about Zoltan Gera, that's the one I remember the most. Another one was a good goal he scored against Sunderland that year. He just had a knack for scoring those outside of the box, those little nice, like long shots that just don't know. It was fantastic. And he scored 25 goals for the club, which is, again, for a club who doesn't get an awful lot of goals, that's a lot of goals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He's another name, isn't he, that adds that. Just he comes up time and time again.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I think he's just loved by all the fans, isn't he? And he was another real club man, wasn't he? Everyone loved him down there. So,
he's another
his name, him, Brunt, MacAulay, Morrison. They're probably they're the most picked players, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
Because of their club status and how they were with us. So, yeah. Let's move into them striker positions then. Who's scoring all these goals for us?
This is going to be some pretty dangerous strikers, but
I've gone triangle out ready.
Romelu Lukaku. I think he's had the best loan season in West Brom history. Honestly, if I had to pick someone from my memory, he had 35 appearances for the club in the Premier League. 35 of 38 games he made appearances in. 17 goals, which again, I've said this once, but for a club who doesn't score an awful lot of goals, to have a player score 17 goals in 1 year, it's just incredible.
Unheard of.
For us.
And then, of course, you can't talk about Romelu Lukaku talking about the 5-5 game at the end of that year. It was a real good capper to his run at West Brom because, I mean, I watched that game and I really thought, especially in the first half and early in the second half, that honestly I'd be switching it off at 60 minutes. That was one of those games where you look at it and you're just like, they're probably going to run away with it. They want to win this last game for Fergie, and we're not going to really get a sniff from now on. But he came on and he scored his first goal, which was a great goal from outside the box. And everybody was just like, hey, whatever, we scored a goal. But then all of a sudden, they started to play fantastic play, and all of a sudden, every single cross that was going into the box looked like it was going to be dangerous. And then he ended up getting that hat trick on that really disjointed equalizer at the very end.
Really weird.
I think it was his head.
Yeah.
I think it was his head. It might have been just his body.
Yeah, he sort of fell onto it and just sort of nudged it in.
He is one of those guys I miss him. I miss that type of striker at our club.
Yeah, shame we didn't sign him on a permanent, because that would have been unreal, wouldn't it?
It's frustrating, definitely, because I thought if we had signed him, even if we were going to turn him over to Manchester United in a couple of years, we probably would have made a decent profit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and we would have had a good run in the league as well, and might have even sort of started to challenge for Europe or something like that. Even Europa might have been. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not going to be getting in Europe anytime.
Dare I say, would we be the next Everton?
Yeah.
But that's life as a West Brom fan. Whenever you feel like you're about to make a big step, someone gets sold or someone.
We take a couple steps back. Yep.
Who's pairing him up front then?
Beside him, I think you guys know who I'm gonna say, but I'll say it anyways. Peter Odemwingie.
It's gotta be.
These two were obvious for me. Peter Odemwingie, he's our top ever goal scorer in the Premier League. He's got 30 goals for us in the Premier League. And he was the goal scorer when I went and saw them at Norwich. So that's always one that's you always remember the game-winning goal scorer when you go to your first Premier League game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not talk about this.
Yeah.
Every single time his name comes up, both me and Adam slowly bring this into shot because it's got to be
5-1. For me, for you guys, it's a lot more of a big deal for you guys because I've never met a Wolves fan myself.
You don't want to. You do not want to meet him.
It's terrible.
I have met someone from Wolverhampton, and I called them a dingo the whole time I was around them. But you know, he was just fantastic. He was a bit of a poacher, but he always seemed to find a way to get into the positions to score the goals. He scored some fantastic goals in his day as well. One against Blackburn, I remember. I remember this one game against Southampton. He scored 2 goals, and one of the goals he traveled all the way from our own box to the other box to score. And I think that just shows how impressive he was, because it's one thing to be a good striker and be able to score goals, but the effort that he showed on the field for us was just second to none.
Yeah, he did give everything, didn't he, every game? So,
this is another one. This one here is my.
Now you're just showing off, mate. Now you're just showing off.
Dog.
You've got all the kits. You haven't got
that was
any.
The one I bought. That was the one I got when I went to England, and I got rewarded with the goal when he scored it.
So the reason the goal happened then, probably.
Yeah.
If you hadn't bought the shirt.
Yeah. So you're welcome for the extra 3 points, guys.
If you had to pick one of those players from your 11 to put into our squad now, who would you pick?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I think I'm going to go with Romelu Lukaku.
Get some goals in there.
Just his goal-scoring ability. He made things happen because this was before he went to United and gained all that weight, so he was pretty quick.
But he's still doing it now, obviously, isn't he? He's still one of the best strikers in Europe.
So,
and that's because he left Mourinho.
Yeah. Ooh.
But yeah, I think a goal scorer, because I think generally, I don't think we've had troubles with conceding this year. But I don't think our defense is, now that we figured it out a little bit, I think our defense will be okay for the rest of the season. We've got Kyle Bartenbauer, and we'll be good.
Kyle Bartenbauer, I like it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely though.
That's a good shout.
Yeah. Can't argue with it. Baden, thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us about your best 11. Best place for people to find you, I'm guessing, would be obviously over on Instagram, where you are at WBA Canada. But you're starting a YouTube channel as well soon, aren't you?
I am now actually. I've spent this whole last week working hard to create. I've been creating on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and now I'll be moving to YouTube as well. It'll probably be a couple more weeks just to sort things out, but it'll be great stuff like match reactions, and hopefully I'm not going to be whining too much about it.
We can tell you from doing it for the last year, it's no fun.
No.
Just moaning about games.
Pre-game, all that kind of stuff, and some other fun bonus videos. It's not going to be something you want to miss out on.
Nice. Well,
Awesome.
We'll make sure we put all the links to stuff like that in the description box. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it to the end, if you could click subscribe and like, those things really help us out. And we will see you next time. Thanks very much, guys.